So for Plato, there are the forms which are perfect, changeless, eternal, and then there are the particulars. And so this provides a foundation for his metaphysical view that reality comes in degrees, something we saw with other philosophers such as Thomas Aquinas. So in this case, the forms would be the realest real of all. So for example, the form of justice would be perfect justice, and then individual acts of justice would be inferior to it. And then likewise for everything. For Plato, pretty much everything would have a form. And one of the problems is, of course, this would also seem to entail, as a critic said, that yucky things like vomit and slime and stuff would have forms. And so reality comes from in varying degrees. So the highest level of the forms, the lowest level would be the least real things. And below that, of course, nothingness. Now, in terms of what the forms do, one thing they do metaphysically is they cause the particular things. So, for example, if you were to raise the question, in virtue of what are all cats cats? The answer would be, they are cats because they resemble the form of cat, or, put in another metaphor, they participate in the form cat. Now, this participation or resemblance comes in varying degrees, ranging from, really resembling, but never perfectly, or having very little resemblance. For example, a very beautiful thing would participate in the form of beauty to a greater degree than something that is less beautiful. And something that is, hideous would barely participate at all. And this does raise the question of whether there is a form of ugly, so that something could be perfectly ugly. But if you're going to be consistent, Plato would seem to have a form of ugly as well, unless you want to contend that negative qualities would be a privation, as we saw when we talked about the problem of evil. And so one thing the forms do is they metaphysically make things what they are. So each action of justice would be just because it participates or resembles justice. Each dog would be a dog because it resembles or participates in the form of dog. The forms also serve an important epistemic function in that they make the world intelligible, because they group individuals into categories and types, so they allow us to classify reality. So, again, all acts of justice would be grouped by the form of justice, thus making them intelligible. All dogs would be grouped by the universal dogness, thus making them intelligible. So, that is how Plato views realities. The forms perfect, eternal, changeless. Particulars imperfect, changing. Next, we'll press onward to looking at Plato's line and his famous allegory of the cave.